Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Aaron here with Iron Therapy Training, and today I'm here with Josh Durr. He's with the St. Francis Ministries, and we have a special talk today. We're going to talk about going from zombie mode to conscience awareness. We're coming today with some active listening skills, how to be a better listener, because a lot of people don't really know how to listen or aren't really good listeners to begin with. And we're going to talk about, from going unconscious to being consciously aware. And there's a lot about that. You'll have to stay tuned to figure out what going unconscious is. And then the last one there, we're going to talk about when it's okay to ask for help or when to ask for help. So Josh, I'll let you introduce yourself here and we'll get started with the talk.
I'm Joshua Durr. I'm with St. Francis Ministries. I work in the Family Center Treatment Program. We do in-home family therapy to help families come together and really kind of understand each other. And active listening is actually a very important part of it, because a lot of families have some communication issues where they struggle with communicating. We all might speak the same language, but do we really speak the same language?
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk with people, they're talking with us, are we thinking of our answer first? Or are we actually hearing everything they say? Are we understanding things from their perspective? Or are we just interpreting it in our own way and relating back what we think they said? Or are we actually hearing what they are saying, and what they mean?
Yeah, so Josh, one of the best ways to learn how to be an active listener, we wanted to get a professional in here that actually deals with being a good listener for a job. And I'll talk a little bit about how these active listening skills tie into exercise side of things as well, on how we transform people's lives with active listening skills and being a good listener. So Josh, tell me a little bit, what are a couple tools that are ways that you communicate with people when you're trying to be a better listener?
All right. One of the things I often work on with my families is just reflective listening. Now, a lot of people will give a long talk when explaining things, whether you're explaining things to your kids or, heck, even your spouse sometimes, we could say a lot, but are they really listening? Are they able to tell us what we're saying without adding to it their own interpretation or their own additions, the other things going on in their mind? And when they can do that, then the other person feels understood when you can reflect back what they've said. And you don't have to repeat it verbatim. You can, or the exact same way, you can summarize it in your own words and breaking it down so people can actually understand and listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means that the person talking has to shorten it up, because some of us, especially in this digital age, can struggle with those long-winded talks, right? They need something shorter, just kind of little bites, right? So you just get in the little bites, you check for their understanding, they repeat back kind of what they understood you said, and then you can go from there. And I think that's very important, because a lot of our disagreements are because we don't feel understood. Yes. We don't feel cared about, right?
Yes.
We think that we're just there to do something for somebody, or they want us to do something. They don't care about us as people.
Exactly.
And us as people is what is really important.
Exactly. And there's been a recent tragedy here in Great Bend that we've all kind of experienced. And everybody talked about, be a good listener, just listen to people. But how do you do that? How do you be a good listener? Like, what does that even mean? Break it down. What does that mean, being a good listener? Get involved there. Ask those questions. Being a good listener, he was talking about reflecting back. That's one of the technique that we use here at Iron Therapy Training. So if a client comes in and they're like, man, I had a stressful weekend. I was doing this and that. I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't eat, the way I was planning on eating. So we would reflect back on that with them. And what we'd say is something like, so what I hear you saying is that you were really busy and stressed out and you weren't able to follow your meal plan like you were wanting to. Is that right? And when you do that type of active listening skill on our side of things, it lets them hear what they just said. It lets them feel understood and heard, and that communication going back and forth. So Josh, do you have any other type of skills with the active listening that you may use with some people, or that could help maybe some families or kids communicating with kids?
Yeah. I also like to use the sandwich method. It's where you give a compliment or something they're doing well, and then you layer in the middle the things you want them to improve or do differently, usually just one or two. And then you come back and you hit them with another compliment or something they're doing well. Because that helps build that confidence that they can do it, and also makes them not feel as judged as just giving them the negatives of what they're doing wrong or what they need to improve on. I mean, you can use the example, a kid coloring on a wall, okay? And you could tell them, hey, you did a great picture. I would like you to not do it on the wall anymore, and I appreciate that you wanted to show me this picture.
I love that. I love that. That's good. But do you see the communication there? Did you see and feel what that feels like? It doesn't feel like he was being targeted or the child was being targeted. It feels like he was communicating like, hey, you did an awesome job on the picture. However, I prefer that you wouldn't do it on my wall. Can we find a better place to color? Would that be okay with you?
And then thank you for wanting to show me,
yes,
because that was important for me. Yeah.
Thank you. See, and you're even teaching me here too. I love to learn these things, and I love these talks that we have because it educates from different perspectives, even on little things that I can even improve on. And I just love that, man. I love to learn. So the games, you were talking about another game with my wife, I think.
Okay.
Was it emotional Uno?
Yeah, yep. That's one I play sometimes. So you just take a regular Uno deck and you play cards, and every time you choose a different emotion for each one of the different colors. And every time you change to that color, the person who changed it's got to talk about something that made them feel that way or something that makes them feel that way. So like if red is anger, right? I felt angry when this happened. Or something that makes me angry is when this happens to me or somebody does this to me.
Yeah. Well, I like that, man. And that's a good way to communicate with get better skills as a parent with your children and spend that quality time with them and learn a little bit, about maybe some things that we're unconsciously doing that we don't realize that maybe hurting other people's feelings. And talking about that unconscious, I'm starting to get into that talk here, but talking about that unconscious behavior, we're going to get into some unconscious things that we're not aware of that are causing problems, even with our health and fitness, but he can explain some things on the therapeutic side. So tell me a little bit about that unconscious behaviors and stuff that you are aware of and deal with on a basis.
Okay. Well, in today's technology-driven society, we have a lot of stress. Parents have a lot of stress at work and everything else. Then we come home, okay? And we either got our kids now want our attention or our spouse wants our attention. Maybe even our pets want our attention, but usually pets, we're pretty good with their attention, but because they don't demand a lot.
Yeah.
But when we are operating on autopilot, we'll give that immediate response. Just leave me alone, or don't bother me, or you're doing that wrong, right? We're quick to point out the negative things. We're just responding on autopilot without thinking about what is going on around, what is happening around. And when we do that, right, we're actually negatively impacting others because we're not really thinking about how they're taking it or how we feel about it. Is this how I want to present myself as a parent? Is this how I want to present myself as a spouse? Am I this person? One of the things I got up at my own home is the difference between who I am and who I want to be is what I do today. And that means that every day I'm striving to be the person I want to be or the person I want to become.
Yeah.
And when we operate on autopilot or unconsciously, we're just going through those same things. Physiologically, we're just going through those same routes that have already been set in our brain. We are not creating new neural connections. We are not doing things differently. We're not growing. I'm sure you guys have driven cars, and when you're driving, sometimes you just go in that autopilot, and before you realize it, you're at the same place, right? Every time you go to the same, we just had Mother's Day, when you're going to visit your mom or in-laws or what have you. You go through that same routine, and you don't even realize that all its time has passed.
Yeah,
and the same thing happens, and it seems like times, and you're not really enjoying life, because life is meant to be lived.
Yes.
And when we create new things, we get new experiences, we really live. And, you know, it's the same thing physiologically. I mean, Aaron, I'm sure you can speak to how if we kind of go do the same muscle routines all the time, it doesn't benefit our body. And that's one thing you guys do great here is you guys diversify it, keep us doing different things.
Yeah.
And you could probably also speak to how the body at rest stays at rest. And the same thing happens with the brain.
Yes. So and your brain's neuroplastic. It's neuroplasticity. So you can create and make new pathways in your brain and do these things. Now, why being unconsciously going unconscious or the autopilot, that's a lot in your subconscious mind. That's habits and routines and things that you've just kind of created subconsciously. And when that happens, why is it important in health and fitness? Well, if I have a client that's in here and they are unconsciously aware of when they're eating, that can be an issue if they're trying to lose weight. So when I can help them open up that pathway and become consciously aware of, hey, did I just grab some food and put it in my mouth without knowing, and become aware of that. That's why it's so important on the health and fitness exercise side as well. So going unconscious, I've studied a lot on this, and that is autopilot, like you're talking about. That's autopilot.
Yeah, and a lot of us bored eating, right, or emotional eating, right? It's just kind of that autopilot thing. One thing when I did a lot of dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, we did something called conscious eating. And that's where you would take one bite at a time and you'd fully get that taste and that texture and just kind of let it sit there and get that, and it would slow down your eating. And I'm working on doing that again myself to help with my own weight loss, right? But it's a way to just kind of, one, you get the full enjoyment of the food, right? Because too often we get that first bite and we just keep going and going and we don't realize how much. But if we consciously eat, right, we avoid that unconscious state and we actually savor and enjoy the food. We get full faster because the body, I know you know this, doesn't register us being full until after it's already been full for a while. So if we slowly consciously eat, we're enjoying that food, we're extending our conscious time, which is the time that we all enjoy, right? The time where we are experiencing things.
Yeah. And there's a lot to that. On the bodybuilding side, I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, when they get ready to go on stage or prepare for a show, they'll be eating out of baby bowls and with baby spoons so they can enjoy it a little bit longer because they're cutting so hard and they're trying, and not all sports are healthy. I understand. We're not going into that talk, but they have that so they can enjoy that food and get that satisfaction that they're looking for, and slow things down and actually feel more satisfied. So there's a lot to that. Now, unconscious behaviors are in the subconscious, and hitting those new pathways, you can do affirmations help with some of that. Another form of things that you can do is like brushing your teeth with your left hand. You ever done anything like that?
Now, a little of my own history. I was quite the clumsy child.
Yeah.
And daredevil.
Yeah.
So I broke a lot of bones. So I actually got used to catching things left and right-handed. I can bowl left and right-handed.
Wow.
I learned a lot of that. And then later on, when I got into counseling and psychology, I learned that doing so can actually work both sides of your brain, and too often become one-sided. And I know we do the same thing with the body, because we've talked about that. But in balancing that, I can now do things, I could work jobs that require more of one side of the brain, more the technical, the security, because I've been a security officer before, you know, as well as the more the theoretical or the artsy or the psychology, you know.
Yeah.
So I do some writing poetry in my free time, as well as, you know, can practice like with accounting and stuff like that also. So
Yeah.
I like to work both sides of my brain, and it keeps me active, keeps me feeling young, and makes me experience more life, because then I can connect with my clients on different levels. You know, if I work with little kids, right, I might be discussing Bluey, you know, because I want to speak their language.
Yeah.
And really get to know them in their world. And that brings them out of that unconscious state and into the conscious awareness of me, because it's like, oh, it's not just another person talking to me about adult stuff or what I should be doing as a kid. They're talking to me in something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
You know,
That's good.
other generations, I might talk with Dragon Ball Z, I might talk My Hero Academia. You know, I had a kid who was very interested in cars. We talked about how therapy is kind of like firing up a car. You
Yeah.
know, how you kind of start that engine and how you get things fired up, how the hard part of therapy is when you get that fire going.
Yeah.
You know, do you keep it going and start moving forward, or do you let it start to burn out again?
That's oh, that's so good, man. So the challenge, like going through that challenging moment, and I've been through therapy too. I've been through all this stuff, but you have to remember too. It sounds scary, but it's a beautiful process. It's a beautiful process, and you can unlock behaviors and things that you really want to be doing that you're not doing, and let go of a lot of things that are not serving you. So that is where that can really help you out. Now, on the unconscious side with exercise, another thing that I like to bring to people's attention a lot is somebody may have an injury on their shoulder or their knee, or their hips hurting, or they rolled their ankle, sprained their ankle, or broke their ankle, and they'll tell themselves like, that's my bad leg. That's my bad leg.
Yep.
Now listen to this, it gets deep, because when you tell yourself this is my bad side, this is my bad leg, my bad ankle, your brain hears you, okay? And it stores that information inside your subconscious. And when that happens, you'll unconsciously be babying or favoring that side of your body without even being aware that it's safe to use again, you know?
I'm guilty of this one. Yep, I kind of did this one a little bit
Yeah.
with, you know, my shoulders and stuff. So
Yeah, I have too, and that's why
Yeah.
we're having this talk. And it's okay, guys. Like, we all experience these things. We're all human. Everybody has, in my opinion, I think anybody could benefit from a little bit of therapy. I think anybody could.
yeah, the world is enough out of balance without us being out of balance.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, therapy, mental, physical, is all help putting us back in balance. And as people, as humans, being in balance is important, not only for us, but for our loved ones, for the people around us, for our jobs, for our security, for our mental health, for our physical health. The weighing down over time that the body goes through, you know, we all struggle when we get older, right? With healing and everything. You know, you don't quite pop up quite like you did in your 20s
Yeah.
or your teens.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that can be avoided by challenging yourself, by putting in the effort to make those changes.
Yeah.
Right? To stay balanced. Because when we're young, right, our muscles adapt, our body adapts, right? As we get older, it gets into a certain routine and it doesn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's adapted to something that maybe is not appropriate, maybe is unbalanced. You know, you see the same thing psychologically. You know, a family that is doing really well goes through some trauma, and all of a sudden they're thrown off balance, and they never deal with it, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse, worse, like an infection, just kind of grows. And the same thing happens with our body. You know, it gets used to the same thing, and then what we need is to get back on balance. And sometimes, I mean, I admire you out there who can do it all just, I'm going to do it, so I do it. That's great. But some of us need that extra accountable person to show up.
Yeah.
Right? If that means getting a partner, great. But you know what? Here, I have a busy schedule. So here, I have an accountable partner.
Yeah.
I show up, you know, she's here. You know, even days where something came up and she wasn't able to make it, I was here.
Yeah.
And so making it that way allows me to make it regularly.
Yeah.
And I think we all need that accountable person. And if you can't find that in your own home, if you don't have that already,
Yeah.
you can have that here. You can have that, you know, going to mental health therapy.
Oh
Your
my
therapist
gosh, yes.
can definitely be that person
Yeah.
that'll keep you on track. But we all need that somebody, because the computer and the electronics is just not enough.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the fire, staying in the
Oh,
fire.
yes,
the
staying in the
challenge,
fire,
going
yeah.
through the challenge. So during the healing process, I mean, being a good communicator and a good listener, this is why it's so important to seek out like a professional in that area. If you do have somebody you know, or somebody that really is experiencing things that need to be talked about on another level, because some of the conversations that they have, they are a little bit challenging conversations. And some of them, you know, if you have a close emotional attachment with that person close to you, you may not want to watch them go through that pain. And during the pain and healing process, you got to kind of keep them in a little bit of that pain so they can feel that emotion, right? Yeah. So if you have that close attachment with somebody and you're unable to keep them in that pain where they can kind of go through and feel the emotion, let that emotion out, then what happens is you're going to pull them out of that pain. You're going to pull them out of the pain, and you're going to say, it's okay, why don't we just go do something else? Don't think about that. Like, you're okay, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, psychologically speaking, right, that pain, so to speak,
Yeah.
is just the body creating new neural pathways.
Oh my gosh. Cool.
And,
so-
and
I love this.
you know, if we're going into new neural pathway, the brain's got to, you know, dig in there, got to create this new one, right? And that can cause some pain. You know, it could be a little frustrating, a little, if you've ever done digging, right? Just even digging a hole, you know, fix your fence or anything, or, yeah, you know, the digging can be, you know, a little difficult. So, and that's what the brain's doing, is it's digging a new pathway. Okay, instead of connecting it to this, I'm going to connect it to this.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the body, as you were talking about, right? You're connecting this to this. And so the pain is actually a sign of growth, a sign of something new happening in your life, not the same old that is so comfortable and just zaps your life away so that your life is gone before you know it.
Yeah.
It's that chance to grow.
Yes.
It's that chance to
That's
just
that
experience more.
That's that beautiful process that I talk about a lot, you know, even in identity shifting and stuff, shifting that identity and building a new identity. Like, that's that little bit of that uncomfortable, like taking a bottle away from a baby. I like to use that analogy because it's a little uncomfortable, and sometimes you may cry a little bit, you may be a little fussy, you may get a little angry, but when you keep going through the fire and get to the other side, it's a beautiful process. And once you understand that and you feel that, you'll never want to go back. And my therapist that I've talked to before in the past too, she's always talked about this, that so many people choose to just stay that way and deal with it, you know, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and never
They're
really
alive but not living.
never fix it. Yeah.
They're alive but not living.
Yeah. Wow, that's deep. And when we talk about these things, you know, you have the unconscious mind too. And the unconscious mind is different than the subconscious mind.
Yes.
I know a little bit into the unconscious mind. I don't get into that here because that's more therapeutic. There's only certain ways you can unlock the unconscious mind, because that's like the deep sea or the basement. going down to the basement.
Yep.
Right?
Right. It's all down there. You know, in the book, The Body Keeps the Score, it talks about how our experiences are all connected in our body, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes when we, for example, losing weight, right? If you had a certain trauma happen to you at a certain weight level, right?
Yeah.
Then once you get back down to that weight level, your brain might start to trigger some of those memories or some of those responses. And so working through that can help you. You know, there's fat cells that store all kinds of different information in there, right? And when you start to burst those, try to, you know, work those out, all of a sudden you're getting some of these old trauma things coming back mentally, right?
Yeah.
But that's because you're ridding the body of those toxins. You're working out those toxins, right? But you also get the mental health therapy, which will help you psychologically create those new routes in your mind to get past those. Yeah. And we operate so much and do so much without knowing the underlying reasons of why we do things. Do you ever stop and wonder, why did I do that?
I do now.
Yeah.
I do now. Now that I'm consciously aware of things, I do.
Exactly.
And I catch myself slipping and I stop it. I'll say change, stop, catch myself going unconscious. I'll sometimes want to get on a phone call to do a sales call, and I'll try to avoid because sales can be challenging, okay? Not all people are very nice to salespeople, even though you're trying to help them. And I'll try to avoid the pain of going through the call. Next thing I know, I'm scrolling on Facebook. Okay, so that's an unconscious behavior, but when I became consciously aware, why did I go to Facebook? Well, I'm avoiding the challenge of making the sales call to go help somebody because I don't want to be yelled at or feel rejection. Okay, and then when I understood and learned all about that, they're not rejecting me, you know, but inside, that's what it felt like.
Personalize it, yeah.
So when I learned and understood and became consciously aware, that's when things change. Why did I do that? Wait, stop, stop. No, we're not doing that right now. I used to do that. And that's deframing the mind. I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. We're deframing. Then we're going to reframe. We're going to plug in the new identity that you are, the truth. And you do that through affirmations. So I used to be an alcoholic, but I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm now a healthy health and fitness coach for people in Great Bend. And that would be the new identity, right? Do you see, that's how that works. So that's part of like identity shifting and deframing the mind, reframing the mind, because the whole brain works off of framing, deframing, reframing, and your current frame. So the unconscious mind, let's get into a little bit of that.
Okay.
Like there's ways to get into your subconscious mind. And what are some ways? I know one's therapy, but what are some other ways?
I statements can often kind of bring us down there to that. And I statements involve, instead of telling somebody, you need to do this, or you need to stop doing this, say, I feel, identify your feelings, which makes you stop and think and kind of go into that, what am I really feeling here?
Yeah.
When this happens. I feel, going back to the kid drawing, you know, if it were an older kid, right, you might say, I feel overwhelmed when I see this on the wall and know I have to clean it up. Because then you have to think of what emotion am I feeling, right? Because too often we go to anger, we go to happiness, or we go to some of these others, when really it's a primary emotion that is much lower than that. You know, anger could be frustration. Do you know when you're angry? Do you know when you're annoyed? Do you know when you're frustrated? Do you know the difference between those? Many people don't. So to get to the unconscious, right, or the subconscious, we got to really take an internal inventory.
Yes.
And slowing down to make I statements can help you do that. It makes you think about, what am I really feeling here? Am I really upset at this? Am I just annoyed by it? Am I frustrated by it? Maybe it just kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
You know, and also with I statements, it helps with the communication because you're taking the focus off the other person. too often we get into you statements. You did this, you did that. And
I'm guilty of that.
And the other person gets defensive.
I'm guilty of that. I mean, I think we all could be a little guilty there.
And so when we use I statements, it causes us to do an internal inventory and let them know it's not so much what they're doing, but how what they're doing is affecting you. And you got to know how it is. And so you got to go to that subconscious to think, what am I really thinking? What is going on inside of me that is causing this reaction? Because I might respond great one day to something, and the next day I might be annoyed by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to know what's going on inside of me and why.
Yep.
And then, when I share the I statements, I'm sharing kind of this is why.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful there. Another form of getting to your subconscious is journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard there's dreams and slips of the tongue.
Yes. There's a whole branch of psychology about dreams and how they fit in. Some people are really big into that. I, for one, will take some of that.
I've heard that. I'm glad you said that because I've heard that. I was listening to a podcast. He said the same thing. Dreams, they're there, but I don't personally like that route as much. And there's some science backing it, but it's exactly what you're going with there.
And there's a video that I sometimes share with clients. It's Mark Gunger's The Tale of Two Brains, Men's Brains versus Women's Brains. And I think I shared it with you guys once. And it talks about, women have this big ball of wire, whereas men have the boxes. And this isn't gender specific, really. Sometimes I meet women that have boxes and men that have the big ball of wire. But I personally, I kind of can do both, but I think I lean more a little more to the boxing, to the boxes. So with the boxes, right, I look at my dreams as my guy has everything unfiled, and from the day it's all kind of in a big old pile, and he is sorting everything away. So the dreams mean something, right? But the sorting and the putting in the boxes is where it's going to come together, and that's not in the dream. The dream is where he's sorting it out and he's putting things back together so that you can start the day fresh.
Yeah.
Because studies show that the dreams are often made up of different things that you've experienced, either now or in the past. And so to me, it's just kind of like he's got this big pile, he's putting it away, right? That is not where the connection to the subconscious is, right? That's him filing it away. Right?
Yeah.
So your dream might have nothing to do.
Pushing it down?
Yeah. Or sometimes just, even if it's a good thing, this is where it goes.
Yeah.
Right? So I might put, say, my workout, right? And my therapy session that I'm doing with a client, right? Together, and now all of a sudden I'm having a dream where I'm working out and the client is telling me what to do.
Oh man.
And telling me how I need to work on this subconsciously or this subconsciously.
Yeah, wow.
But that's combining the two things together. See, it's not really about what I need to do or anything, right?
Yeah.
It's about the mixture of different things.
That's cool, man.
So that's happened in the day. So
with the dreaming and stuff, when you do have those dreams, from the research that I've done, you're supposed to have a dream journal and write it down fast. First thing in the morning, write it down as fast as you can. And then journaling itself. Journaling, you can get into your unconscious a little bit through some processes there. And the way that works is when you physically write on paper with a pen or a pencil, you can tap into the emotional side and the logical side of your brain at the same time.
Two sides of the brain.
So you can only through physical writing. You can't type it on a computer. You can't just speak it. A physical writing has something more deep depth in there. And then when you do that, you're journaling over time, you'll start uncovering things that you may notice, emotions and the way you felt during something, and then it'll create a pattern. And once you figure out that pattern, you can go back and reflect. And then that's how you can get a little bit of the subconscious. Now, there's some things you can't unlock without therapy.
Yes,
because
exactly.
It's so deep in unconscious, you can't access it. You can't find it. That's how deep the unconscious goes, like a deep sea. Okay,
You built up walls that keep you from getting there, so you need a guide to get you around the walls or through the walls.
Yes, and with that guide, the mind can be kind of scary. I've done a lot of psychology research, and some of it could be a little scary if you don't do things the right way or know what you're doing, or it could be a little scary. So having that guide you through that makes all the difference. Kind of like exercise too, right? When you get freaked out and you're like, oh, am I doing this right? Do I need to cut my calories again? Do I need to do this? I better start over there. I'm going to go do some arms and go over here, do some abs. No, I need to work on my legs. Like when you have that guide that keeps you confident and you're doing the right thing, and this is what needs to be done. Don't change up anything. Don't make drastic changes. Just keep doing this. You're doing great. Keep going. That makes all the difference. And a guide in the mental therapy side, like I said, it's right. It's a deep ocean there.
It is. It is.
You know, so you can get in there another way too, or slips of the tongue. Have you heard of that?
Yep.
Give them an example of a slip of the tongue.
It's often called a Freudian slip. So an example could be you're talking about one thing and you just kind of mentioned somebody else's name. You know, somebody you didn't intend to, but you refer to somebody else. Happens with all of us, you know, and really what you're thinking about is that other person. Okay? Could be like, oh, Mom, forgive me, this is using you for example, but she will often refer to my brother by my name or me by my brother's name because she's thinking about the similar behaviors or the similar actions. Oh, Josh always did this, therefore
Yeah.
I'm thinking about him when I need to be addressing this one's behavior, right?
Yeah.
And
So my parents have done that to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another slip of the tongue, you've said before in the subconscious too, earlier, but it's hitting the unconscious too, is when you blurt something out and you don't mean to say it. Just like you said, it could be somebody's name. It could be, you know, something that was left unsaid. And you buried it, but you've been really wanting to tell maybe your staff employee or somebody like, hey, you need to stop doing this, but you're afraid to tell them what they really need to hear, and you'll bury it. And then when the time comes and you just can't deal with it no more, it comes out in anger and frustration towards that other person. So that's kind of what slips of the tongue can be.
And it doesn't even have to be at that same person. Sometimes, you know, the slips of the tongue can be you're frustrated at somebody else, but you take it out on that person in front of you.
Yeah, dang.
You know that?
Oh, yes. So my coach has told me a lot about this too. That's good because, and I'll reflect a little bit on this and I'll share with you and get a little vulnerable here. But when things got challenging with the building and the mold and all that stuff, and I was going through all that stress, sometimes I was taking that home to the family, okay, and not letting it out appropriately, okay, and other people were feeling the lash back from that stress, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to this area right now that I'm speaking in, but that's what's going to happen. You're going to bring it home to your family, you're going to bring it home to your kids, you're going to bring it home to whoever you feel like putting it on that day and letting them have it. And that's where, you know, people get hurt, you know, and you can damage other people. So what do they say? Unhealed trauma or well, not doesn't have to be trauma. It could be.
They say hurt people hurt people.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. And it doesn't even always have to be trauma. Little stressful situations like that, or what I was going through and not dealing with it correctly, brings home to the family, you know. And my coach always tells me too, you know, your unhealed trauma becomes company policy.
That's true.
Becomes company policy. So that's how important it is for people to, you know, do these changes. And even physical health, like working out, helps you with your depression and anxiety and helps you use your prefrontal cortex. It does help you access different pathways in your brain. And you are doing new things.
Exercise, you know, having a healthy body Improves the chemicals in your brain, which means, those dreams maybe that you're struggling with, they will become more positive
Yeah.
because you'll have the chemicals working better to make them positive.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know. Yeah. And the chemicals in the brain, listen to this, and we've spoke on this before too, but if you keep thinking negative thoughts and keep doing negative affirmations and that negative energy, your brain will continue to produce the wrong chemicals and give you that chemical imbalance. And the first thing that doctors and stuff want to do, and medicine's good, I understand. Sometimes people do need medicine for this, but therapy with the medicine, or do the therapy, use the medicine as a crutch for a little bit if you need to while you go to therapy, or you do these other things. Start working out, start building muscle, start working on yourself, taking care of yourself. That's where you're going to heal a lot of this. And he was talking about when maybe you had a trauma at a certain weight and that stopped, you get there and you start having trouble again. It's not only just getting to that weight that I've noticed. It's when you start losing weight, whatever that maybe stress relief that you're using, and you're taking that comfort away, other things want to just start surfacing, okay? Because that's what was being covered up. And that's sometimes what stops people. So that's why personal development and health and fitness is so important.
And so is accountability partners, and that's where having a trainer, or, if you have a busy schedule, having a trainer that is always going to be there, that has this time scheduled for you, is great.
Reassurance too.
Same thing with a therapist. A therapist is a trainer in a mental, psychological way.
Mental training.
Yeah.
Big time, deeper.
Yeah. And so, having that person who's going to be there and you can rely on, okay, they're going to be here, right, is a wonderful way. And some of us really need that accountability partner to take those steps, to keep going.
Yes,
right?
I have to have accountability.
Because
I have coaches.
That's what, helps drive us. Other people, okay, there are some of you who can just do it all on your own, and I can do that after a certain point, but to get me started, I need an accountability partner.
Yeah, and I always ask, look, listen to this. I always ask, who's coaching the guy up top? Who's helping him? Because all of my coaches have coaches, and my previous coaches have coaches. I have a coach, and those things, or mentors, or those things help. So who's coaching the guy? Who's coaching the guy up top? Who's helping him?
And you see all the time in news articles and stuff where the CEO or some actor, actress, or rock star, or whatever, is just kind of has that major meltdown, right?
Yeah.
They're not getting the coaching. They're not getting the support from anybody. They're the top CEO of whatever, of their own
100%.
life or their own brand,
100%.
right? If they're not getting the coaching to help them, they're going to tumble down. So even those at the top need the coaching to keep it going.
Yep. And basically, a lot of that coaching too is that reassurance, and having that, knowing what you're doing is actually right, and to keep going, not keep second guessing yourself.
And as therapists, we got to know what your traps are. We got to learn what your traps are, so we can say, oh, wait a minute, you're starting to go down that trap again.
Yeah.
You're starting to fall back into that same thing. This is your route to go back here. Let's pull it right back here.
Yes. Yes, I like that you said that, because, and that's where what did I say earlier? When I catch myself slipping, catch myself slipping again. I got change, stop, let's not go down that path. That's who I used to be. Reframe it, go back, keep going this direction.
Comfortable is not necessarily healthy.
No, it's not healthy at all. Comfortable is going to end you up declining, and being comfortable is why people are stuck. Now with the unconscious mind being so deep in the autopilot and going unconscious, doing unconscious behaviors, if that is combined with chronic stress in the brain, that has been linked to higher rates of dementia. Okay, from unhealed traumas or untalked about things, or being stuck in that for too long is linked to dementia. And I was doing a little bit of research on this, and I'll let you get into that. But on that little bit of research I did on that, I was questioning, like, is that because we're training? And you may be able to answer this question. I didn't get a good answer out of this yet. I'm still searching into this. But is that because we're training our mind to forget? Is that why? Is that why it's increasing? We've been training and suppressing and hiding it for so long. Are we actually training our mind to forget?
In ways, yes. Because the thing with dementia is a lot of that occurs. There's, of course, biological reasons, right? And genetics, family history.
Yeah.
But there's also, you can fight that just by reading, by challenging your mind regularly. But that is creating the new neural pathways. See, if you are forgetting, right, you're largely just doing the same rote routine, right, and you're not creating those new pathways. And so therefore, your body just gets used to, it's easy for it to say, okay, these are the walls now. It's no longer something you can dig through.
Yeah.
These are the walls now. You're only going to have these paths in your brain. And because, you know, the body hardens over time, right? The muscles, the elasticity, even of the brain, right, will decrease over time if you don't exercise it.
It'll
the
atrophy.
the brain is a muscle, yeah.
It'll atrophy just like your muscles.
Yes. And if you're not exercising it, you can fall into that dementia very easily. Those who are challenging themselves with new things, learning new languages, you know, going through therapy, challenging past beliefs, anything like that. I'm part of several groups where they throw out controversial or challenging ideas and we discuss it, right? And I love that. I love that back and forth, right? It
Yeah.
challenges me on a much higher level than a lot of things. I love puzzles. I love figuring things out. I love understanding both sides of an argument, both sides of an understanding, right?
I reflect on them a lot too.
Yeah,
What I can do better next time
exactly.
to not argue, you know, or better understand. You know?
Yeah, and when we get there, right, that keeps the brain from being in that same routine, from basically going unconscious, just kind of going through
That's
that same
what that
thing.
is.
And it also helps us with the dementia aspect. It helps
Yeah.
avoid that.
That's what that is. That's what you just described again. To me, when I'm hearing you say that, I hear, you know, doing the same routine, same habit, same thing. It's automatic. You're not having to consciously think about driving the same route to work. You're not having to consciously think about when you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth with your right hand. You're not consciously having to think about what you're going to be doing. It's just the same pattern and routine.
Eating, yeah, eating
And
in front
where-
of the TV.
where does that become where it gets elevated there? You know, being in a rural community when maybe the community hasn't grown, you know, a lot here recently or in the past. You know, not a lot of things are changing. Sometimes people may go home and, you know, well, what do I want to do? Why do I want to better myself anyway? Nothing else is going on. Nothing new's happening anywhere else. What's this for? You know, why? And that's why it's so important of what I'm talking about. Because being in a rural community and things around you aren't changing, you can slip into that unconscious behavior quicker. Nothing new's happening, nothing exciting's going on, and you can slip into that automatic drive quicker.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if you guys, you mind if I get a little
No,
religious
yeah,
here?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Sometimes we do that with our own churches. We just get used to the same routine at church, and sometimes just going to a different church, just stopping here or there, can help give you a different, diverse look, kind of challenge you in a different way.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that, you know, you stay there, maybe you stay at your same home, but it gives you maybe a more appreciation for what you have, or a deeper connection with what you have.
Yeah.
But it's just trying something different, just to,
A new social environment, I
Yeah.
think is what you're getting
Yeah.
to. A new social environment.
with new stimulation, new different things going on. Yeah.
Different people, talking to different people, introducing, you know, sometimes that could be challenging for people alone, social activity, right? So when you start getting comfortable, I think, is that where you were going?
Yeah.
with it? When you
Yeah.
start getting comfortable in that church around the same people, go throw yourself in a new crowd for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go challenge your brain, challenge that social. That's good. I like that. Well, we uncovered today, guys, about the unconscious mind. We talked about active listening, how to be a better listener, how to reflect on somebody. And one more thing I want to add in on that active listening, and we may have missed it. And remember, we're always leaving stuff out. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Very tip, yeah.
This can go in farther and farther. Exercise side, therapy side. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The icing on the cake. So with that active listening, I think just pausing and listening, like pausing and stopping, not trying to just answer anything, not even reflect sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Like just be quiet. Like just sometimes pause for a good amount of time.
It's summertime, and I know I'm not the only one who likes to cook out on the grill, who likes to enjoy that time.
Yeah.
Right? And when you're doing that, you're listening to that meat. You're getting that right sound in there, right? Ooh, you're getting that smell.
Yeah.
You're getting those senses stimulated, right? You know when it's just right. You know when you got the perfect grill on there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we need to do that with people too. We need to listen to them. We need to get a sense of what's really going on. We need to connect with them.
Yeah.
Just as we actively listen to that steak
Yeah.
and actively pay attention to that steak, if we did that with each other.
Wow. How much more powerful it is.
Exactly.
And how much better you feel as a person too. When you actually both communicate together and have some of those, like me and my wife have challenging conversations all the time. Like we do it. We have that uncomfortable conversation. We have to, because the things that are left unsaid, we talked about that. That doesn't, it's not
No,
gonna
it
go
stays
nowhere.
with you. It does not leave just because that day's over.
And then it comes out and lashing out, blowing up, getting separated, and things like that. So we have our uncomfortable conversations, and we just do it. We do it anyway. And we've been to marriage counseling before too. So it's good to work on yourself, work on your marriage, work on your health and fitness, and stay active and doing these things, because that's what's going to really make you feel better. If you really want to feel better, that's where I'm getting to. If you want to feel better and get out of that position, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. And we didn't get there yet. What about asking for help?
When you ask for help, you need to know what you're asking for help in. So often we have people come in that they're asking for help, but really what they're trying to do is they're trying to stay and feel good about the same things they're doing right now.
Yes.
Right? If
Yes,
you're
so
asking
they're
for help, yes.
Avoiding, yes, I see that all the time.
They're
Yep.
looking for affirmations for why what they're doing is exactly right.
Yep.
Right? When really you can see clearly, hey, this is not working for you. This is not healthy for you. If this were great and healthy for you, you would be feeling a lot better. But you wouldn't need me to tell you.
But Josh, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad, Josh. That's
No, but
is that one of the things? What do they like to say?
oh, they often say, oh, well, everything's working fine. Well, if everything's working fine, then how come I'm here today?
Yeah, where are you? Yes. Yes.
Or how come you sought me out at this moment, right? Maybe there's something, okay. Maybe it's just a little thing, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine, right? Maybe it's something big, but let's explore it together.
Yes. I love that.
And if we deal with issues when they're little, we keep them from becoming big. One of the reasons I work with families is I know where you're going with this. I've worked 7 years in the prison as an officer. I worked in the state hospital, working with some very, very challenging clients. And the thing I saw is a lot of hurt people that didn't get help when they were younger, when they needed help younger. I worked in a PRTF, which is a psychiatric rehabilitation treatment facility.
Yeah.
That's where kids go when they can't really function in society, can't function in their own household, or struggling, right? And they stay there for a month to 6 months or so, right? And I thought, you know what? I want a program that helps families in the home before kids go to PRTFs, before they grow up to become adults, end up in prison or state hospitals, or struggling out on the streets, homeless, or go through multiple divorces,
Yeah.
I want to help them before they get to those levels.
And where can you make that change, guy? Where? And I love that you said that, because I knew where you're going with it at the beginning. But where can you make that change and impact? And it starts with the kids.
Starts with the kids. And the kids are watching you.
Yeah, it starts with the kids. Starts with the kids. And remember this, I just had this talk at the Optimist Club a couple Mondays ago. And we may not be reaching a lot of kids, but we made a change in a few kids' lives. And that mattered, because once you can change one kid's life, then you can change possibly a family. And then once you can change a family, you can have an effect on the community.
Ripple effect.
And
yes.
once you can change the community, you can change the world. Okay? And that's one of the things I heard from National Academy of Sports Medicine. Once we change one client, we can have an effect on their whole family. Once we can change one family, we can have an effect on this community. And once we get the effect on the community, like I said, the whole world can see this change. And it starts with the kids. I think the biggest thing to make the change, it's good to change at any time, but to really make the change impact, it's going to start down.
It's got to start early.
Lower. It's going to start lower before the problems happen.
Yep.
And another way to, when it's a good time to ask for help, if you're asking yourself, should I go ask for help?
It's time.
If that question comes up in your mind, that means you probably need to go ask for some help. Okay, because you've been struggling and dealing with it and you're not going anywhere. Well, anyways, this is Aaron here with Iron Therapy Training. I have Josh Durr here with
Family Center Treatment Program. We are contracted at the Family Center Treatment Program.org if you want to see what the foundation is, and we are contracted out through St. Francis. And so St. Francis Ministries provides the services. At this time, DCF does our referrals, but we've actually got it approved at from what I understand, at the state level, to where judges, attorneys, and others will be able to do it in the future. They just haven't figured out how they want to do that yet. But I think having therapy in the home, right? Because we come to your home for this.
Oh, nice.
You do not come to our office except 2 times during the entire thing. And once is the transitioning out of the first phase, and once is when you're closing out. You know, the rest of them are done at your home, so that we come to your home and we work on things there, right? And we work on things in your environment.
Yeah, and how much more comfortable is that? You know, meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, you don't have to prepare for transportation or anything. We're
going to meet you where you're at.
Exactly.
We'll build from there. I love that. And anyways, if you guys need any help with anything like that, he's with the ministries here in town. And then I'm Aaron here with Iron Therapy Training. If you guys need help with your health and fitness, start building that new identity of a healthy person and really change things in your life, reach out. We might be able to help you get out of pain, do a complete body transformation, and protect your independence as you're getting older. This is Aaron here with Iron Therapy Training. We'll see you soon.